Bulbasaur, the glorious first generation grass starter, and part of the reason I thought as a kid that all grass Pokemon were poison type as well. Yeah, I wasn't that sharp, but Bulbasaur is sometimes known for being the Gen 1 starter with the least playground cred among the three available options. But was that because Bulbasaur was indeed the weird grass thingy who would never match the class of a fire-breathing lizard or a tortoise with cannons? Or was Bulbasaur simply a diamond, the value of which the young fanbase did not know enough to see? Or, more specifically, how well did the Venusaur line perform in the Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow series? Let's find out. Now, Generation 1 Bulbasaur starts with the pretty unimpressive moveset of Tackle and Growl, but come level 7, it is the Generation 1 starter that learns a new move at the lowest level. And what move is that? Leech Seed, a move that is seen in competitive play to this day. And with this newfound power, Brock will prove to be no match for Bulbasaur, which can, if the trainer wants to save time, go to level 13 and learn a move that gets a quicker sweep in Vine Whip. Ivysaur would continue to cruise through Route 3, though it can be annoying to use when facing bug catchers and flying type Pokemon as battles get a bit lengthy, but it does pull its weight just fine, all until Mount Moon, thanks to its ability to beat ground types. Ivysaur is then decent against the second rival fight, as it can wear the big bird down with Leech Seed. More importantly though, Ivysaur, as one would expect, is an absolute monster against Misty, as all she holds dear will get literally whipped. Fast forwarding to the third rival fight, Ivysaur can again help with Pidgeotto and maybe Raticate, though it will be beaten by the latter if it lands enough Hyper Fangs. Though the brain cells Ivysaur would require from the player to deal with those shortcomings would be compensated when the biggest threat to Ivysaur in the Lieutenant Surge fight is a Voltorb's Sonic Boom, or the unlikely scenario of getting fully paralyzed 100 times in a row. But outside of that, Ivysaur will be more than fine beating up Raichu and friends with Leech Seed and Vine Whips. Ivysaur continues to be the same in the Rock Tunnel split, where he is great against Slowpokes, Hiker Pokemon, and Grass Pokemon, thanks to it not caring about anything they do. Upon reaching Celadon, Ivysaur has to be ready for Erica and the first Giovanni fight, and if you are getting bored of Ivysaur soloing gyms, well, sorry, I guess, because Ivysaur makes Erica baby easy. This time, not thanks to the type chart, but to Gen 1 being Gen 1. Erica in this game has what is called good AI, which basically means it will only use super effective moves if it can, and refrains from using non-very effective moves as well. The AI will think, ew, look at that, I have poison powder on my only two good Pokemon. This will be super effective against the grass type Ivysaur. Let's click it every single turn. And if you happen to be dying of gamer cringe at how many layers of wrong this is, given that, A, poison is only neutral against Ivysaur because it is a poison and grass type, B, Poison Powder is a status move which does not care about it being super effective anyway, and C, the move doesn't even affect Ivysaur. Welp, sucks to be you. Ivysaur spamming Tackle can literally not go wrong against the two grass poison types, and Ivysaur can beat Tangela 1v1, which would not be a problem for any teammate to handle anyway. But after humiliating his fellow grass types, Ivysaur would have to face the Team Rocket hideout where it actually has to be a bit careful because of the grunts Zubat, as it is 4 times weak to bug type move Leech Life in this generation. However, it will beat Rhyhorn and Onix on Giovanni's team and beat Kangaskhan most of the time depending on what the AI roulette picks. Around this part of the game, Ivysaur will get to level 30 and then it learns the leaves! Razor Leaf in Generation 1 will always crit if the user has enough base speed, and will crit around 88% of the time in Ivysaur's case. making it an effective 110 base power stab move. And if having a chance of not critting bothers you, just go to level 32 and get Venusaur. That will give you guaranteed crits and a better Pokemon in the process. Ivysaur and Venusaur will help against the third rival fight by beating the Pidgeotto and maybe the Gyarados, depending on luck, and will be able to help cheese ghost types with Leech Seed at the Pokemon Tower, though it will definitely end up being worn down itself. At least it will make the Marowak ghost very easy though. After getting the Pokeflute, Venusaur will prove good against poison types that populate Cycling Road. Yes, Razor Leaf might be a grass type move, but it is a strong special move, which is more than enough to send any coughing home fast. And that may have you thinking, well, 5th Gym Leader Koga has poison type Pokemon with garbage moves as well, right? And to that I say, exactly. Venusaur actually proves to be great against Koga, thanks to Leech Seed and Razor Leaf. However, if your accuracy gets dropped, you might need to switch out to cancel that. Silph Co continues to be kind of the same story for Venusaur, where he is great against anything that is not a Zubat or a Psychic type, thus being able to KO all of Giovanni's Pokemon with very little RNG in your favor. Our pumped grassy friend will then get even more pumped, being like, where's the next gym fight? I'ma whip 'em as I did to literally all of the gym fights so far. But unfortunately for him, Sabrina has a whip of her own. For her, as well as for Blaine, Venusaur easily gets thrashed around and is not good at all. Better to keep him away. And speaking of the late game, there are two funny side notes about Venusaur that are worth mentioning, although both are not super relevant practically. First, Venusaur can, as for most Pokemon, learn TM Toxic from Koga. And while Toxic is a nice move and all, the funny part is that if you use Toxic and Leech Seed on the same Pokemon, not only will the Toxic damage increase over time, but so will the Leech Seed damage and recovery. This deadly 1-2 has been appropriately named the Toxic Leech Seed combo. And though it is very strong in theory, Gen 1 games usually do not have Pokemon that will attempt to stall you and require the strategy for all relevant fights. Venusaur is either better off using more straightforward tactics like Razor Leaf spam, or is just killed very quickly and is not really worth using the tactic anyway. Second, Venusaur learns Growth at level 44. In Gen 1, Growth raises Special, which makes Growth like a Neanderthal version of Calm Mind. The caveat though is that Growth will not boost Razor Leaf, as Gen 1 crits are unaffected by your own stat boost, which is as idiotic as it sounds. And though you might still argue that special defense is nice, or that you can pull off weird stuff like exploiting the badge boost glitch, Venusaur is not made significantly better by the move in any way that's worth simping for. Once that part of the game is done, Venusaur actually destroys Giovanni for the third time. I mean, look at these sets. What would Giovanni even do? Regardless, you may have noticed how we did not go over some of the later rival fights. Long story short, use Venusaur for Gyarados and Rhyhorn and Execute. Don't use it for anything else. Happy? The Venusaur player would then go to the Elite Four challenge. For Lorelei, Venusaur can beat Dugong, Oko Cloyster, and beat the amnesia spamming Slowbro. Thank you, good AI, by the way. Bruno is a total joke, both against Venusaur and as a general matter, so let's not waste too much time there. And Agatha is a bad matchup, but Venusaur is not immediately threatened by her Pokemon, which allow it to set Leech Seed for its teammates. Finally, Venusaur is actually great against Lance, thanks to it always beating Gyarados outside of the Hyper Beam crit and having completely free kills against the 3 Dragon-type Pokemon thanks to their good AI telling them that using Agility over and over and over and over again is the correct play. The champion fight is reminiscent of what we saw before. 3 Pokemon that are nice targets for the grass starter, and the other 3 are better left alone. Overall, Venusaur in the Elite Four is superb, as it pulls a lot of weight against every trainer outside of Agatha, against which it is not very good, but can still provide some leech seed support. Now in Pokemon Yellow, the Venusaur line is palpably worse. Not because Venusaur is suddenly not good, but because the sets of Giovanni have gotten better. Lance and Erica can no longer be abused to oblivion with their new good AI-proof sets, and Koga's gym has apparently been built with the sole intention of beating Venusaur. It is worth noting that Venusaur is not a bad Pokemon in this version either, just a less good one. But how well did Venusaur perform in the Gen 1 games? Well, the mere fact that it can mostly solo the red and blue early game on its own is impressive. And then it has a fair amount of good target in the middle game and pulls a good Elite Four performance as well. Important to note also that unlike Blastoise, which is better in the latter parts of the game, nothing can serve the purpose of being a better Venusaur. There might be other grass poison Pokemon, but there are more budget versions of the Venusaur than actual upgrades most of the time. Yellow tried to hit this amazing starter, and while it succeeded to some extent, it is still a very good Pokemon to use in your runs. So, what did you think of Venusaur in Generation 1? Do you regret not having picked it up as a kid? Or are you as proud of it as we are at PokeRebels? We would love to know your opinion. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a good one. Take care.